Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Rebel's Edge. I'm Jon Najarian, my brother Pete joining shortly, and we're going to discuss exactly what's going on in the markets, what's going on with predictive markets, maybe a little look at the VIX and sports, all of that on today's Rebel's Edge.
All righty, we got a lot to cover today, man. There's a lot going on between the unemployment stuff and the VIX itself. Obviously, earnings never stops, so there's always something, John.
Yeah, and as Pete said, folks, we got both October and November numbers today. Because the government shutdown, we didn't get the October numbers when we were supposed to. So we got them today. And Pete, the market reaction, well, the NASDAQ is still just turning negative by about 20 points right now. The Dow is down 0.5%. S&P 500 also down 0.5%. And the VIX hovering under 17, Pete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, let's dive into macro then. And I'll say, Pete, macro is Bank of America highlighted, and I was surprised by this, quite frankly, that their investor sentiment, which they track monthly, is at a 3.5-year high. But they say caution persists due to fears surrounding crowded trades. I guess they're reading AI and, in other words, information technology or IT, Pete.
Yeah.
What are you getting out of macro today?
Yeah, I think just real quick is what we hit on right at the very top, the unemployment. I mean, we haven't had the opportunity to have these numbers the way we have, and we added 64,000 jobs. That was pretty interesting. But the big focal point, of course, has to do with, well, what's unemployment look like? Well, it's at the highest level that it's been in quite some time at a 4.6. So that, I think, has given people a little bit of a spook. You know, they probably didn't expect to see that and that type of a move. But because we are, I think that's what's putting a little bit of pressure on the markets right now. We'll see how long that lasts, because we've seen this in the past as well. Will it last a day, a couple days, or even longer? I don't think it'll be all that long, quite honestly. I think the markets digest things faster now than they ever have before, John.
Well, and Tom Lee said, Pete, 78% of funds are chasing the market right now.
Yeah.
Now, you can't chase by staying on the sidelines unless you think the market's going down. And then I guess you get a little bit of outperformance because instead of you going down over the next week, if that's how long it lasted, you'd be flat. But for the most part, if 78% are chasing, Pete, that means they probably got to invest. And basically, here we are coming into triple witch right now. Friday is, of course, folks, triple or even quadruple witching when the futures, the options, the futures options, and so forth all expire on Friday. But they do break up the time frame.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, what do you got for VIX today?
As far as the VIX is concerned, John, we're still in that tight range, right? 16, 17. Now, we popped up into the 17s for all the right reasons, I think. Basically, some of the concerns about what the market looks like right now. Today, it was up about 3% to get up to those levels. I'll tell you what, we're still down 14% over the last month as far as the VIX is concerned. So I think that people are looking at it. They should be looking at it, but they should also understand very clearly that a 16, 17 VIX is not a problem VIX. And I think that's something that people just have to have the knowledge of.
Yep. Well, now we get to dive in, Pete, to a little predictive market action. Everybody's getting in on this, Pete. From Polymarket, of course, which we talked about yesterday, to Kalshi rather, to Coinbase and so forth. Well, guess what? Robinhood used to rely on Kalshi for their predictive market stuff, Pete. Now they're saying, you know what? We have a joint venture for a vertically integrated prediction market with Susquehanna, who Pete and I happen to know, folks, is one of the biggest derivative trading firms on earth. Yeah. Certainly a lot of very successful trades there. And by the way, one of the owners of Susquehanna is the largest U.S. shareholder of TikTok, just to throw it out there as well. So Hood getting into the predictive markets in a bigger way. Yep. And that's to the detriment of calcium.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, I'll tell you what, that is interesting. And you know what? If anybody was going to do something like this, I think Susquehanna makes a lot of sense. Those guys were sharp, and you and I were always impressed. And they just did the things right when it comes to being market makers, specifically on the trading floors. But they've done a lot of things since that time as well.
Yeah, as that TikTok investment shows. All right, how about Circle? CRCL is the symbol here, folks. It's up today because Visa, just as we have said many times, is diving in with one of these stable coin producers, in this case, Circle, CRCL, and they'll be able to settle transactions with the company in Circle's internet group, USDC stablecoin. Well, that's a big deal because when you transact on these credit card networks, generally it's somewhere between 3 and 4.5% that you're paying to the POS, the point of sale, the folks that are proving basically that you have the money in your account to cover it. And that cuts into the retailer's profit. Well, if you start using something like a stable coin, you can cut that fee not just in half, maybe by about 80, 90%. And Visa ain't waiting around for somebody to do it first. They're moving first, Pete.
They are. The fintechs are. U.S. banks are. So, yeah, we are seeing a big move in that direction, John. So to say that we are starting to embrace this more and more, I think would be a very correct statement to have out there. By the way, Kathy Wood continues to get a lot more in the world of crypto as well, John, as far as what the acquisitions that she has made. I think I was just reading it was somewhere close to about $50 million so far in crypto, with probably more to go. I think the one interesting thing about Circle is they've really kind of been dragging down towards the lower end of that 52-week low high that they've got, John. Good day today, up about 10%, trading around 82, somewhere close to that number. But shoot, 64 to 299 is what the low to high is. So they got a long way to go to get back up to those highs. But this is certainly going to help give them, I think, a boost, at least for right now. At least for right now.
Yeah. And Pete, the Circle basically has round tripped it. I mean, you know, it came public back in June. And like Pete said, folks, it was over 200 a share a couple different times, but has bled all the way off basically to about where it was after that IPO. So it's interesting that with an 8.5% move, they are still 140 bucks below the 52-week high. Yeah. But we'll keep an eye on it. All right, how about this one, Pete? Sezzle. Now, I'm happy and grateful that our friend, Pete, Eric Fors, up at Morgan Stanley, yeah, I said it, Eric, got me into this one, along with Matt Tessito. They got me into this one. It's a Minneapolis-based fintech that sort of does the buy now, pay later kind of model, Pete. And you take a look at this one. It's up 68% year to date. It's up 12% or more today. They're going to repurchase a bunch of shares. And by the way, it's about 23% short interest. So those shorts are just getting cleaned out, Pete.
The shorts are getting squeezed. Like you said, it's up 68% year to date. It's up 12% today. They're doing everything right. The repurchase of about 100 million in common stock at some pretty decent levels as well, John. Buy now, pay later. These guys are doing everything right. It sure seems like right now. Anyway, solid balance sheet. When I take a look at that, I really didn't see a whole lot of flaws. Now, granted, there's always something hiding somewhere with everybody, but in this case, they are doing a great job. And like you said, John, they're right down the street here. It's a Minneapolis-based company. They're doing things the right way so far, and I hope they continue to do so, because this buy now, pay later, it's got some quirkiness to it, and I think that these guys have kind of figured that out, and they're doing an outstanding job. So I have nothing negative to say. All I can say is that they've done a phenomenal job up to now, and I think they'll continue to do so.
Pete, the founder comes down here, or the co-founder comes down here to PR from time to time to play golf. So I'm looking forward to connecting with him and hopefully playing a little golf. That is, if he doesn't mind me taking some big divots out of whatever course we're playing. All right,
you and me
let's
both.
talk. Let's talk about a travel company, NAVN, down hard today.
Mhm.
And they've lost about 50%, Pete, of their IPO pop from November. So in other words, we all know how that works. Your IPO comes out, initial public offering. Some people pile into it. That FOMO, fear of missing out. We can throw all these different acronyms at you guys, but all of a sudden, somebody's left holding the bag. Now, the quarter didn't look bad, Pete. I know you delved into the numbers deeper than I did. Quarter did not look bad, but a lot of people are saying, well, is it still worth as much money as it's trading for now? Because when it came public, it was a $6 billion number. And I don't know if NVAN really has that much juice yet, Pete.
Yeah, I think there are some problems. They have some good things and some bad things, like everybody, I suppose. But, you look at the revenue, John, the revenue's up 29% year over year. So you'd say, well, that sounds pretty damn good. And it does. But the problem is they still have these quarterly losses out there that are much more extreme than what they expected or what they were maybe, let's say, a year ago. The R&D costs have gone up from 33 million to 51 million. There's some things out there where if you're picking, you could pick for a while and decide where things are going. Well, they've decided to start, sort of emptying out some of this stock, John, because it's sitting at 52-week lows today. It's down 19% the last I looked. They do have a solid balance sheet, so I like that. And they do have some growth. You've got to like that. But they have some losses that I think got people a little bit concerned, and let's just remember, right now is where everybody is trying their very best to say that, hey, AI is a bubble and this, that, and the other. And with all of that, they're saying that, they're going to start voting the other way. So they're pushing this one down pretty hard, as we've seen happening across the board, whether it's Broadcom or Oracle or whatever. They're pulling these things down if they can. But nonetheless, I think this one is a very interesting. They've had some good success. They've got, like I say, some growth in the revenue. The problem is they've just got to start using that and making money in a much better way than they have. So interesting to see, down about 45% year to date. So it's gotten hammered pretty good when it's hitting these 52-week lows.
Yeah, well, I mean, it dropped back from 6 billion, Pete, to 3 billion in valuation. That's that 50% I'm talking about. Yep. Since the IPO in November. But you look at it versus like TripAdvisor. Raise your hand if you've heard of TripAdvisor, folks. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. How about the people that have heard of NAVN? 0 hands. I mean, is it worth 3 billion if TripAdvisor's worth basically, where is TripAdvisor now? 1.75? My answer, Pete, would be probably not. But again, I think it was priced for beyond perfection, priced years out into the future. Keep in mind, even though maybe they're using AI to really enhance how they do the searches for you for travel, nonetheless, you're talking about a very thin slice of that airline ticket or of that hotel stay or whatever it might be. So it just seems, Pete, that it's priced still, even down 50%, a little high.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Pete, what about RILY? Now, this is one that basically they came out with their 10Q. It was overdue. So you can understand why they were under pressure, because anytime a firm says, hey, we can't really give you our financials right now, Wall Street gets spooked. Well, they're the opposite of spooked today. They're piling into the stock, and it was up 29 or 30% today because basically the net income and all the other numbers that were reported were in line or better than expectations. And they breathed a sigh of relief, Pete, over that. Well, we had unusual activity. They were buying the 4 calls, and they did pretty well buying those calls because the stock was just under 4 at the time. And those December 4 calls, well, that worked out for them, even though the ones last week expired. Those who stuck around, Pete, were still pretty happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's always the UOA. That's the tough thing is getting it right in terms of the time frame and everything else. And I'll tell you what, they were certainly sniffing around with something. And RILY Financial had a pretty decent report too, John. I mean, they put it off. People were a little bit concerned. What's going on? Well, the profitability actually seemed to be pretty damn good. They reduced their debt, which was a big deal. Now they still have some debt, but they reduced it. I think people were pretty excited about that. Their net income actually went into the positive after being very, very negative. A year ago, they lost about $435 million. This time around, they gained about $137 million. So that's a pretty big flip. I think that things are starting to really click, and that's why this stock is having a heck of a day today. It's up, almost 28% last I looked, but it's having a pretty strong day, and they've done the things that they needed to do, and they needed to come through with something, John. When you delay something like that, that usually has people pretty freaked out. But in this particular case, they came through in a big way, and that's why the stock is running like it is today.
It's a very nice day for anybody who's long that stock and stuck with it through that big downturn that it had because of the delay.
Yeah.
All right, Pete. Well, let's dive into some of the sports shorts, the reels that you and I see all the time. We'll pull one up here for you, folks, and let you look and listen as Caleb Williams gets flattered by a comparison to none other than Joe Montana.
That's that's pretty flattering.
Look at them both rolling.
And off their heel. Throwing off their heel. You're always supposed to step forward. These guys are going off their heel, and they still got the ball. A strong arm. Mike Clark. I'll never forget that, John. For the 49ers. And everybody thought he was throwing the ball out of bounds. They thought, oh, he's just throwing it out of bounds, trying to get something.
Yep. And, Caleb, God bless him, Pete. He's living up to his own cockiness now. Like they say, if you can do it, it ain't bragging.
Right.
I mean, if you do it, and he's doing it and has won, what, Pete? It's like 8 of 9 games in a row or something like that, or 10 of 11 in a row, something like that. The only one, the loss to Green Bay. And Green Bay now, sadly for them, has 3 key injuries. Right tackle, their big trade with the Dallas Cowboys, Micah Parsons, and then, what's going on with the rest of this. Maybe their tight end as well. It's going to be a tough off season for those guys.
Yep. And they've been on such a great run, the Green Bay Packers have, that it's been pretty impressive. But, just one last thing, Caleb. Last year we all kind of shook our heads a little bit and just were a little concerned. He got the right coach at the right time. And it looks to me, John, like they are really a different Chicago Bears team than any before, because you and I were talking about it. Name me a great quarterback from Chicago. I mean, it's pretty damn hard to come up with very many names, if any, but there are some somewhere, but they're not, as much as you and I both love Jim McMahon, great guy, great competitor, all that stuff. When you really look at the numbers, it was the defense that won those games in the Super Bowl. So, the Super Bowl shuffle.
Right. Well, and I'll throw this out there, Pete. And Walter was in the Super Bowl shuffle, as he should be.
Yeah.
And Jim McMahon was. But let me throw this out there, Pete. His passing stats in 1985 through 13 games, he threw 313 passes, 178 completions. That's 56%. He had 15 TDs and 11 interceptions. That ain't good. That ain't good. If you look at Caleb Williams, through his 13 games, Pete, 3,100 yards, 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. And, obviously he's surrounded himself with great receivers. Of course, the Bears did that for him. But, I mean, my gosh, we had Silky D when I was there with the Bears. We had Willie Gault. We had decent receivers, but I think these guys kind of blow those guys away, Pete. DJ Moore, and the kid that we got from Washington. I think that's just a different level of NFL receiver.
Well, they did everything right. They went out and they got good running backs. They went out, they got wide receivers. They helped their offensive line in a big way to be a much better offensive line, whether it's in free agency or in the offseason. and they've done things right, and it's really shown how much improvement he made from last year to this year is absolutely stunning. All right, John. As far as we got some sports, we can zip through these fairly quick, but I got one for you. Now, the MVP of the league, I've already decided. I decided a while ago, Matthew Stafford. I think you agree. Most people probably agree with that one. So you know what? That's not that exciting. I wanted to go somewhere else. It will be Matthew Stafford because he's a quarterback. This is a quarterback. It's very much like the Heisman Trophy, right? I mean, it is really, really rare for somebody other than a quarterback to get these kinds of trophies. But I think the MVP should be at least considering one thing for this year. Christian McCaffrey. Now, he's actually healthy this year, John. Here's what some of his numbers look like. He's number 6 in receiving as a running back. He's got 86 catches for 820 yards and 5 touchdowns. As a running back, 922 yards and 9 touchdowns. He leads the 49ers in rushing and receiving. Everything he's done is absolutely spectacular. Think about this. He's still got 3 games. He's gotten 1,700 total yards, and he's got, 14 or 15 touchdowns. He's done everything you could ever ask for a running back, and that opens things up for Brock Purdy, who's gotten healthy again. The 49ers are a real football team because of how they have been able to put things together when they've had some major injuries, and they've had a lot of them over the last year, 2 years, something like that, even this year. So I love what Christian McCaffrey brings to the game. It's why the 49ers, I think, are 10-4. And by the way, he's played in all 14 games this year. So I think it really shows how important this guy is. Oh, by the way, he might be the fastest player in the NFL. I know a lot of people will argue and say, no, it's this guy or that guy. Let me tell you, when you see him running past corners in the NFL, and he's decently bigger than most of those guys, he smokes past those guys, John, if he's got some room. So what do you think? Do you think McCaffrey, he's not going to get the award. He's just not. It's a quarterback reward. But I tell you what, he's deserving for sure.
He is. And, obviously, Pete, I love Josh Allen, who's probably the number 2 quarterback if we were to have such a vote. But 3,700 yards, 37 TDs for Stafford, 37, Pete. And they just had a head-to-head shootout. 44-42 was how the Rams beat them. Allen has 3,200 yards, something like that, and an awful lot of TDs, but more interceptions, double the number of interceptions of Stafford on fewer TDs. I mean, you're right. It's going to be Stafford. And should it be, for instance, Christian McCaffrey, Pete? He's got 1,700 total yards and 14 total touchdowns. He is a dual threat. Yeah. As you said, this guy deserves all the accolades. There are very few players who can do both as well as he can, who can catch the ball out of the backfield as well as, be that running back when you need that breakaway threat. Because if he gets through those linebackers, it's a foot race every single time. If they don't get him within those first 5 or 6 yards, it's a foot race to the end zone.
Totally agree with you. By the way, you brought up Josh Allen, and I wanted to hit at that real quick too, because Buffalo all of a sudden has become this team that out of sort of nowhere, everybody's starting to talk about them, especially after this weekend, John, in the big game that they had. They scored 28-7 as far as the second half was concerned against the Patriots in New England, and they are a great football team. They're not just a good football team, and I don't know that this is a one-and-done type year for them. New England's damn good, and their coach is doing an absolutely outstanding job. But I'll tell you what, Josh Allen is absolutely on fire. And the one thing that people forget about him, I mean, I know people know that he can run the football, but how about this, John? He's 70% completions, 3,300 yards. He's got 25 touchdowns and the 10 interceptions, like you said. But why don't we add the rushing touchdowns to that just to throw it in there, because those are touchdowns too. He'd have 37. He's got 12 touchdowns running the football, averaging 5.5 yards a carry. This guy is a true stud and a big son of a gun. And without Patrick Mahomes, unfortunately, with the injury and everything else, and Kansas City stunk this year anyway, they're already eliminated. Don't count out Buffalo for 1 second, because Josh Allen is the real deal. And it showed when they were in New England and they were down significantly, John, and all of a sudden they win the game 35-31 because they dominated the second half. That was a really, really fun game to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably one of the higher rated ones too, Pete.
Yeah.
Because, but granted, they're two East Coast teams, you get generally the highest ratings, if you can blend in the coasts.
Yeah.
So like, for instance, when Josh Allen played Matthew Stafford, that's pretty great head-to-head action. But yeah, I think you really nailed it with, as I said, Stafford, 37 touchdowns. Josh Allen, when you count his legs, 37 touchdowns. So, two pretty stud athletes that lead their teams, and they're great leaders as well.
Absolutely.
So people love playing for both those two guys. Yeah. And they put it on their own shoulders. You almost never, I can't remember seeing, Pete, either of them coming to the sidelines and pointing at some guy and saying, you screwed up or whatever. They'll just say, I missed him, or I read it wrong, or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, well,
we got one last thing.
Let's do it. Oh, yeah. I almost forgot. Thank you, Pete.
I want John to lead this one because he pointed it out to me, but we both were talking about this kid last year because of what an unbelievable athlete he is and was last year in college. But he's not in college anymore, John. Even though he was making $20 million a year, he was not in college yet. He was in college making $20 million a year. Now he's up in the NBA with a, $70 million contract or something like that. Who's this kid? What's his name again?
Cooper Flagg.
Oh, yeah, that's
And
right.
I think any college basketball fan knows that name.
Yeah.
Because Cooper was special, folks, down there at Duke. They loved him. NBA loved him. And guess what? He just did, had a game where he scored 42, Pete. Do you know how that stacks up against Kobe and Garnett at 18 years old? Two of the only other players at that age to be out there on an NBA court. Mm-hmm. Well, and by the way, he doesn't turn 19 until I think maybe the end of this week or Saturday or something, Pete. I think it's the 21st. But he scored 42 points. That is the most points ever by an 18-year-old in the NBA. The most points ever. And again, think of Kobe, who skipped college, as well as Kevin Garnett, two of the all-time best. Yep. Anybody's top 20 team, both those guys are on it. They're both on my top 10. Yeah. As far as, I've never seen a guy shoot like Garnett that's 7'1", Pete. Right. But Cooper Flagg, bigger game than both of those guys. Pretty damned impressive. And that's courtesy of our Jeff Garbaz over at the Rebel Short setup and so forth. Jeff does a fabulous job with stats, and he was a basketball player, Pete, that was recruited by Coach K when Coach K was at the Army.
Oh, that's awesome.
Coach K didn't recruit him down at Duke.
Hey, one last thing on Cooper Flagg. It just shows you that you can sometimes actually be book smart too when you're that good. And he had a 3.5 GPA, John, down there at Duke. So the kid was smart. The kid was an unbelievable player. He was dominant. And now he's dominating in the NBA as well. 13 of 27 field goals, 1 of 4 at the 3-point, 15 of 20 for free throws. I'd say this kid has kind of got himself into a pretty good spot there in the NBA.
Yeah. And 70 mil, just think last year and this year, you're basically $90 million and you're still 18 years old. Wow. Wow. Congratulations to the Flagg family and to Cooper. All right, Pete. Well, we'll be back tomorrow with another exciting Rebels Edge. So we hope all of you can join us then. We will have more stats because it's really a stat-filled week as far as, like Pete said, some of the October and November numbers. And we'll bring it all to you here tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. See you then.